All right. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dr. Nizar, welcome.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure is all ours. Philanthropist, leadership catalyst, deep thinker. Dr. Nizar is here to share his expertise on psychological safety and why it's a hot topic today and why it's a foundation for growth. So I would love for you to elaborate on what is psychological safety and why is it a foundation for growth?
Well, first of all, thank you. The topic is very critical these days for different reasons. First of all, because of the intense competition, the high awareness of customers and consumers in the market, the exponential expansion of scope of business and services offered. So this brings us to the critical element where all those are served, which is the employee. In simple terms, psychological safety is employees feeling safe, comfortable when taking risks and speak up without retaliation or hidden agenda. In plain English, meaning, as an employee would work in line with policy and procedure, of course, but they feel inside them that they are safe when they have an idea to speak it up. Mm-hmm. They don't need to recalculate it. They don't need to think it twice. They don't need to say, maybe my boss doesn't like it. Maybe this will harm me. Maybe this will put me with the other gang or this gang. No. Psychological safety is an environment where everyone thrives on one white-page agenda. No second thoughts, no politics, or at least let's be realistic and say minimum politics. And there is no what-if reflections. I have a thought, I put it in the meeting. Nobody will tell me this is ridiculous, this is stupid, this doesn't make sense. Or nobody will tell me, wow, that's a breakthrough. No, I feel free, comfortable, encouraged to put my thoughts on the table, and there is no adjectives attached to it. Just a thought or an idea, or I speak up my mind about an issue, whether I disagree or I agree, whether I like it, I dislike it. And I know there is no retaliatory action, there is no revenge, or nothing bad will happen. This is in simple terms. Why is it important? For one simple reason. Because of the reasons we've started with, competition and awareness and, right now there is brain migration between companies. Now you keep people not only for money. Now you keep people where they can actualize themselves. Money is important, I agree, but not anymore number one.
So what do you mean by actualize themselves?
Where I can speak, contribute, and grow.
Is it utopian or realistic that everyone has that psychological safety enough to speak?
Okay, that's a very good point. Thank you very much for that. We're not talking magic here. When it comes to people science, there is no one size fits all. But also there is something called how we can maximize. Okay, so let's take two competing examples. One organization, for example, or by the way, just a quick note, psychological safety happens at home, at work, with friends, everybody.
Of course.
But let's link it now for organization. There is a boss, always make fun of his staff or her staff when they make anything. People with time, they get fed up, they leave. On the other hand, there is a boss who always say, I don't want you to fake, I want you to create. Come and talk to me. Now, this thought, just I don't want you to fake, I want you to create, come and talk to me, say his or her team is 10 people, it will minimum, for a fact, minimum, motivate 5-6 people. Okay? Now those 5-6 people, maybe out of them, there is 1 or 2 is key to your operation. Now just imagine with me what would happen if 1 or 2 of the key people just left for a competition.
You'll be in trouble.
You'll be in trouble. Agreed?
Agreed.
Fine. So now psychological safety is doing you, let's say, a favor in one angle. So instead of having a probability to keep them because of the salary, okay, for say 30%, think with me now holistically, you would keep them for 50% with psychological safety. So the idea is we're not being perfect here. We're not saying psychological safety is the cure for all diseases. No, we're saying right now, on our current days, contemporary business or life context, psychological safety is one of the critical elements that maximize the potential of employees and their organizations. It does not promise magic because nothing promises magic.
Just increases your probability.
Thank
that
you.
would
It's like an element of satisfying your staff. Yeah. For example, in classical mindset, how would you classify your staff? Increase their salary. Fine. This was in 70s and 80s. Then, how do you, in 90s and 2000, for example, how do you satisfy your staff? You need to make them happy in their work.
Yep.
How? Give them breaks and. But now, this doesn't work anymore. Why? Because you need to keep in mind that the generational differences, the type of knowledge now we have, the sophistication of thinking, you cannot now compare an olive to a watermelon. So now, in this era, psychological safety is one of the keys. Maybe tomorrow we'll have something different. What defines the intervention is the sickness itself. When you go to the physician will say, and I'll give you my antibiotic X because you have, say, a tonsil infection. If you have an knee infection, you will have a different intervention. This is the same logic. So just to summarize, psychological safety is one of the elements that maximize the return of employees for their contribution in their organization and in their family the same. For example, when I feel comfortable talking, say, to my wife, to my father, to my friend, the type of relationship will be more authentic, more dynamic, and more liberal in a way that we don't have anything hidden as much as we are transparent. Maybe it doesn't work in every time, but at least it has a start. And the cascade happens. So that's it.
So basically, psychological safety or a lack of psychological safety can affect the growth of the team or the company.
Definitely.
And affects innovation.
Definitely, for one simple reason, which is when people don't feel comfortable talking, ideas are suppressed. Very simple.
And when ideas are suppressed, you don't get the most or the best or the most transparent.
So how can you have innovation without ideas?
Yep.
So in simple English, innovation means ideas. Ideas means speaking. Psychological safety means opening to speaking.
Do you have real life examples, Dictor?
On this?
On organizations that enforced and ensured psychological safety and they saw the benefits from behind this kind of transparency that you're talking about?
And I can give you an actual experiment, actually, which happened, if my memory does not fail me, at Google. Google did a project called Aristotle project. And one of the core findings that factor number one in team and employee contribution, psychological safety. That's them. And they engaged it.
How?
First, they allowed their employees to take 20% of their time per week to work on things they like,
Wow.
and support their work. Okay, go, you experiment with whatever you like and get us some new things. They've done this on 2 grand gatherings for their entire employees. And you will be surprised to know there are major breakthroughs in product development and new innovations based on this logic. So why would a conglomerate company like Google, Microsoft, or same thing? Microsoft, they have the same logic, by the way. Yani they did not fly away from it. Why they go with that? Because innovation is not one size fits all. Yani, for example, let me give you a simple example. Say there is a problem at home. Say I'm 50 years old. Say my daughter, she is 15 years old. This problem is something like, not a major problem, but something at home. There is a very good chance you'll be surprised to find that my daughter, she would fix it better than me. Now the idea is, when it comes to this law of this innovation issue, there is no right or wrong. There is optimal. How would you know the optimal? By allowing people to dare to speak. That's our psychological safety.
I like that example of Google, because a lot of managers actually, I feel like it makes them panic when their employees or their team, I don't like to use the word employees for leaders, their team is focusing on something besides the standard KPIs that they need to do. So the fact that they are brazen enough to give them 2 hours out of the week to do your thing is actually genius, because it's coming from a different perspective, fresh mind, clear, the freedom to do so. When you feel like you have to take time out of your day without your boss knowing, because you feel like your boss might be upset that you're taking that time, it's not going to be as productive or as proactive or as creative as when the boss says, go ahead, I actually encourage you to take 2 hours and think outside the box.
And I can tell you something even better. Ready?
Ready.
There is a new trend right now in management. No more meetings.
Okay.
Surprised,
I'm interested. Huh? Yeah, very interested.
No more meetings. You go think.
But isn't meetings the result of people thinking on their own and coming and sharing?
No.
Then?
No. Meetings is a power dynamics where some people, generally speaking, not all meetings, it's a power dynamics where it's like a coliseum where people stretch their muscles, generally speaking. Now this trend would tell you, go you think, okay? brainstorm with yourself, come with a solid case, come to the meeting and present it. Spoon-feeding meetings are out of order now.
Do they feel like it's a waste of time now?
Not waste of time, but coming back again how we started our discussion, things evolve, develop.
Sure.
Complexity increases, you need to go proportionately with it.
Yes.
So what was okay yesterday, today is not okay. So let's take a classical source of a meeting, okay? What does happen in a meeting? People chat, disagree and agree. Most of the time, you don't end up with anything. Or maybe you would like to please the boss. You swim with his current, صح?
Yep.
Now this approach says, we don't want all this. The issue is we have a situation, fine. 5 people will attend the meeting, but when they attend, they don't attend to discuss. They attend to present. And then when we discuss these solutions, not the ideas. Currently in the meetings, we discuss ideas. Then we need a second meeting or third meeting or fourth meeting or 15 meetings, or maybe nothing happens. But now, based on psychological safety, one issue that derives out of it, okay, is you allow people to go, do your thinking. There's no right or wrong. Or come present a case, like a lawyer in court of law.
Some people, and I think we established this from school, some people work better as groups, other people work better individually. So don't you fear that this change hinders the people that work better when they're thinking collectively?
Okay, that's a very good point. Let me reiterate that again. The idea is not to cancel the meeting. No. The idea is to reformat its purpose. Meaning, instead of making the meeting a battlefield for ideas, no. Do your homework. Come present the case to the group. The group together will come up with the optimal.
Okay. Fair enough. Yes.
You get the point?
Big difference.
بس إنه أنت you come to the meeting, أنا I think وأنت you think وshe thinks وhe thinks. طيب okay, after that, let's go for another meeting. طيب the other meeting come, let's go for the third. The new approach says no. أنت go do everything. You like a lawyer, you know, when you go to court of law, أنت you go with a full case. هلا the judge
might come up with a question
maybe,
or a point.
or maybe says the judge, okay, and I'll postpone this for next week.
Yeah.
But then you're done. It's exactly the same logic. Now, for this to happen, you need people to be psychologically safe. Now, what we can do is, in training, for example, okay, instead of training people in communication, that's old story. The new story. How to be safe to communicate. لأنه communication is what? We always say, okay, communication written, non-written, standard, body language, standard, spoken, standard, presentation, standard. This is all perfectly fine. But there's one problem. How about if I don't trust myself or I don't feel comfortable? So how do you want me to communicate now? So now this training, which is communication and psychological safety, okay, takes one step back,
Yep.
fix the roots.
Puts the playing field,
Thank
allowing you to...
Then you will find people starting to communicate easily. There is no problem with the classical way of communication. But for current days,
Rather than teaching him, you're creating the environment so that he can communicate in the most effective way.
That's why we need, when we train, okay, to deliver this communication, for example, it could be presentation, it could be anything, even strategy development. يا أخي leadership. You want to add this dimension, we add this dimension to the training in order to make it the jump start for the topic.
Yep.
So this is how we do it in real life. And it's a great success.
We talked about working under pressure and high pressure environments. So can psychological safety exist in high pressure environments without compromising accountability?
That's a bomb question. Okay, first of all, we need to dissect this to three things. High pressure environment is not a healthy environment. Generally speaking, because it shows there is sort of a flaw or weaknesses in the system somewhere. That's why it's always on red alert. So we need to investigate this. Why is it always
High pressure.
why? It's like going to the doctor and say, Anna, I'm losing my weight without being on diet. Why?
Something must be wrong.
Exactly. Two, accountability means, Anna, when I do something, I say I did it, whether good or bad. Agreed?
Agreed.
Now, high pressure and accountability is like fire and gas and water. You cannot have high accountability and high pressure. Why? Because in high pressure, people tend to be stressed, making more mistakes. Accountability means you need to acknowledge, I did a lot of mistakes. Now do it once, twice, 3 times, you lose your job. Make sense? Which they contradict with each other. Right, now, where does psychological safety fits?
Exactly.
Psychological safety fits like the mediator. What do we mean by mediator in research? A mediator variable is the variable that when for B to happen, A variable has to go through the mediator for B to happen. Okay? Yani, for example, to lose your weight, mediator will be diet, the output will be shape. Remove the mediator, it doesn't work. Agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
Now, let's go to high pressure. High pressure is the input. Mediator is psychological safety. Accountability is the output.
Nice. Nice way of putting it.
Because without psychological safety, people will not be accountable. Why? Because accountability, you want people to feel comfortable saying, I did it wrong.
Yep.
Without it, good luck. Probability drops.
Of course. Back to square one, no transparency. Everyone's worried about making mistakes, so on and so forth.
Thank you very much. So it's like a mediating variable in research.
It's fantastic.
Okay?
Yeah.
It increases the probability where people feel comfortable to say, I did this wrong. Why would it increases the probability? Because when people feel safe, they will be open. When they open, they know nothing will retaliate. For example, they will not hear the classical things like, are you stupid? Are you this? Are you that? Are you... There is none of all this. Okay, fine, something wrong happened. Let's fix it. Let's learn from it. And if the policy needs to intervene in any way, it's a procedure. Fine, that's fair. But you come, I did something wrong, you immediately give me a warning. Good luck, I'm done.
Seriously.
Yeah, good luck. That's why, for example, in training, when we train, what we can do here, when it comes to management skills or supervisory skills, okay, we teach managers and supervisors how to make people feel comfortable to talk. By the way, this is not like having a meeting or having a party or cake or breakfast together. La, la, la. This doesn't make psychological safety.
Yeah.
No. Psychological safety, managers and supervisors, they need to show it in action. I need to trust you. To trust you. It's an equation.
Yeah.
I need to trust you to trust you. Now, just understand this equation, you will find the magic happens. That's how it works.
So why do managers, leaders, bosses, why do you feel like they are not, I don't want to say undermining, but why do you feel like they still have not grasped the importance of psychological safety? Because again, we have established that it's important, so people should be running towards how can I make this environment an open book,
Fine.
Transparent, no judgment.
Fine. We need to address this first realistically with a touch of philosophy. Why do most people like to be leaders or managers? Most people. Why? Power, influence, prestige. طبعا, among other things. And I'm talking I'm taking now
The psychological aspect, yes.
So I'm the boss. My way or the highway. Fine, fair enough. To bring psychological safety on board, you're telling him or her, you need to give up part of your power.
And people have a problem with that.
And then they will start looking at you
As
like
a threat.
this.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Hello. Some people, they may fake it for a press release. Or they fake it for an Insta post. But in reality, it doesn't work. Why in reality it doesn't work? Because you can see the retention numbers going down, resignation going up. And I'm not saying psychological safety is and I'm saying psychological safety is part of the package.
Of course.
But when it comes to the ego battlefield, we'll have a serious problem. For example, let's talk about managers. Some managers, they have a problem for their staff to take any action without their go-ahead. Now, this, although it's managerial, but it masks a psychological deficiency. This person doesn't trust him or herself. So the issue is, for psychological safety to be applied, we need to ensure that this manager is psych-safe. So the idea is psychological safety becomes like a stress test. Are you fit to be a manager or no?
But to some extent, you do understand that middle manager and his ability or his inability to empower his team. And just like they have a manager, he has a manager. And I imagine that most managers, if they feel they are letting go of the control that they have, that eventually they're going to be accountable and they have to report back to their boss why these mistakes set back certain KPIs.
Allow me to disagree boldly with you. Let's put it this way. Let's think of any organization like a rectangle. Okay?
Triangle.
Triangle, sorry. 3 levels. The bottom is operational staff. Middle is middle management.
Managers.
Top is top management. Great. Nothing happens in this triangle without the bottom. Agreed?
Agreed.
So the people on the top, they can't be on the top without the people down.
Agreed.
Perfect. The people in the middle, they are the linkage or the mediator
Between
bottom and up. Agreed?
Agreed.
Perfect. Now let's come to practicality. I'm a middle manager. If I carbon copy my relationship with the top, with the bottom, I lost for one simple reason. Because top and bottom, they speak two different languages. Make sense or no? So what I need to do is I need to gear down to the people on the top, the bottom, to get their best, so I can cash it on the top. However, what usually happens is, because top pushes and pressurize middle,
Yes.
they take the same pressure down.
Exactly.
But what you're doing is, you're talking the same language with different people. يعني for example, imagine you speak English and I speak French. You speak to me in English, I speak to you in French. We're going nowhere. That's what's happening.
What's beautiful is when we're talking about psychological safety, right off the bat, I asked myself, who are the people that should be trained in psychological safety? And my automatic answer was the middle managers. But now it's actually top management that should also understand that, so that he does not transfer that pressure.
When it comes to training in psychological safety, operational people, they don't have much of a share of it because it enables them. The question is, who enables them? Middle and top. So top and middle, if they don't get trained in psychological safety, nothing changes.
Of course.
In simple English.
Can, and I imagine the answer is yes, so how can companies actually measure psychological safety and it translate into tangible cash and the bottom line, let's say?
Okay, first of all, and I have a problem with the last part of the question.
The bottom line?
The cash.
The cash.
I agree, organizations are business.
And business is money.
Thank you. But for this money to happen, we need mediators. Agreed?
Agreed, fair enough.
One of the mediators' employees. Agreed?
Agreed.
If they are empowered, they will get you the cash. If they are not empowered, they're not there. Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Now, in this logic, when you apply psychological safety, you don't measure cash immediately. You measure it through employees who will subsequently contribute to cash.
Yeah.
Let me explain this. Say we applied organizational safety as a cultural change.
Lovely.
Okay? The first output to measure, percentage increase in intellectual contributions, ideas, innovations. This is one. Another one, decrease in internal conflicts. I'll show you how the magic works. But let's build it step by step.
Sure.
So, increase in ideas and intellectual contribution, decrease in conflict, increase in teamwork, effectiveness and efficiency. Not breakfast to coffee.
Sure.
Great. When all those increase and decrease, as we advise, they will contribute to the operational output. So let's say out of 10 ideas, maybe we have one suitable. This will translate to a product. This will make cash. Make sense?
Yes.
Decrease in conflict, you don't waste operational time.
Yep.
So people are focused. So time will be maximized on operation. Teamwork, effectiveness, and efficiency, when it improves, collective output improves. Perfect. Let's put now the three together. What will be the direct result? Retention increase, and leak out will decrease. صح?
صح.
Makes sense. The result of this will be operation stable. Agreed?
Agreed.
When operation is stable, it functions harmoniously where cash comes.
There you go.
This is how it works. That's why I said earlier that middle management or top management, they must be trained in
Yes.
Psychological safety.
Okay, let's take that concept and let's be practical with it. Company comes and says, we hear you, we're interested, we understand the effectiveness. So how can we actually be trained practically? I don't want to sum up what we've been talking about in a single term because that will insult the whole topic. But in reality, it is all about transparency. So are they going to say that the solution to all this is just for us to be more transparent?
No.
Or let me ask it to you this way, how can psychological safety actually be applied in training?
Okay. First of all, psychological safety is not transparency. Transparency is part of the package.
Sure.
Trust is part of the package. Now, say and I have 10 people in front of me. I want to train them in psychological safety. Hala, based on my experience as an organizational psychologist, you need first to make the people to understand themselves in terms of openness and acceptance of differences. We've established that. Next, we would come to discuss difference does not mean enemy. Okay? Which mean in English, you are in a meeting. You want to motivate your people to say, disagree with me.
حلو.
يعني, you know, when I, just a quick story, when I was doing my PhD research, in PhD research, there is no right or wrong. There is how you build a case.
And how you prove it.
Exactly. So you will find evidence for yes, evidence for no, evidence for neutral.
True.
For the same phenomena.
Yeah.
But the magic is, how do you build a case? So when I went to my defense for my thesis, the examiner told me, and I disagree with that. I want you to disagree with me. Now let's take this comment. I want you to disagree with me. What does it mean? Let's understand it a bit. You are in a meeting, your boss says, and I think we should increase the price by 10%. If he or she stays silent after the statement, it becomes a law. Agreed?
But if I play devil's advocate, possibilities.
So, but if I would come and say, and I think we need to increase 10%, prove me wrong. Let's go.
Becomes constructive.
Thank you very much. This is how we fit in. That's one example of fit in psychological safety.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay?
Yes.
1, 2. In a group meeting, for example, when you send an agenda for the meeting, this becomes a Bible. Nobody says yes or no. But when you come to say, in our next week's meeting, Anna, I'm planning to discuss 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Please put your shares.
You have given them the time to think about it.
Exactly, and not only the time, you're giving them the free space to speak up.
Yeah.
3, we know in life and organization in general, there is always part for taking risk. صح? In psychological safety, you need to train the managers and the leaders to accept taking calculated risk as part for growth. Manager growth, employee growth, team growth, and top of all, organizational growth. Let me give you a classical case. They did a worldwide experiment about 4 days working week. Well, they asked people, what do you think?
Everyone jumped for joy.
You'll be surprised that people agreed. But what was surprising is not they agreed. They agreed because they had a reason. That's psychological safety. They speak. For example, a CEO is saying something. If I'm in a psychological safety organization, I would disagree. But the question is, who dares to disagree with the CEO's T-boy, not the CEO? So that's psychological safety. Psychological safety is you see your employee, your partner, not your slave.
Yes.
Not a number, an ally. That's psychological safety. Done, yes. And we have a very solid practical approach to do it in training. We're positive, if applied, magic happens.
Corporate retreats, fun activities that are purpose-driven, are these good environments to enhance this kind of mentality, or
these are PR?
You don't feel like being out of the work element or the work environment, being in a more safe.
These are PR for a press release. Psychological safety is more at a truth level.
Yeah, sure.
Retreat does not make me feel safe to speak.
But it builds the bond so that when the manager, because it's psychologically.
No, it's what happens is retreats, gatherings, Ramadan غبقة and all this. These are good, nice. Nice because we all get together. Psychological safety, is something different. Psychological safety is I feel safe to disagree. Gatherings doesn't make this.
Of course. I think what I meant was during training, when you're actually training for psychological safety, does taking them out of the work environment and putting them in a more casual environment, does that ease?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
We're talking here about the approach.
Yeah.
And I thought the other way around as an HR stuff. No. Taking them outside will detach the pressure ties.
There you go.
And will help them interact with the concept as human beings. Yes, I agree. I agree.
Are there industries or types of teams where psychological safety is more critical for organizational success? Or is it the same across the board, regardless of industry, regardless of the type of teams?
Across the board, even at family level. You need people to feel comfortable to talk, take risk, and feel appreciated. Let's be honest. With the level of intellectual advancement we have, with competition, والvast change. يعني احنا we used to say technology changes fast. Right now shampoo changes fast. You cannot afford losing people with great ideas for competition. Yeah, let me give you an example, just an example. You know the can of Pepsi? It used to, the latch, you open it, you throw it like this, صح?
Yeah.
One of the assembly line workers was pro-environment. He was annoyed. I mean, like, why would we keep all this? He came with this idea. It was adopted. يعني just simple thing. طيب, if you don't allow people to speak, see, I'll tell you where is the problem. The problem is we train staff or people or anyone in creative thinking.
But you don't give them that ability to think creatively.
Or you give them critical thinking. I agree. But they think, but they can't speak.
So what's the point?
It doesn't work this way. It works this way. Assure them they speak, take risk, then give them critical thinking and creative thinking. See, the magic happens. We do it the other way around.
Yeah. Very true.
And I've seen it. I'm almost now 30 years on the field in training and coaching, and it's amazing how we get instead of taking the horse to the water, we want to get the water to the horse. And I'm always thinking, like, what's the logic?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what's the logic. Because when we do this, honestly speaking, we do it for regulatory reasons. Did you do it? Yes, I did. Here we go. But if you want to do فعلا a culture, let me give you an example. How culture influence thinking. There is a company, an IT company. Their recruitment process is 1 full year. You join the company, you get paid, everything, for 1 year. أنت under recruitment. Strange, صح? Great. After 1 year, either they will tell you, thank you,
or welcome to the family.
Or to the family. But if they tell you welcome to the family, they will tell you, you're set with us for life.
And how do they ensure that you're set with them for life? Is it everything that we've been talking about?
Because they kept you for 1 year, you observed them, and they observed you.
Yeah.
Not only 100 days.
365.
Thank you. So the point is, right now, we have expertise. When I do my consulting work, I see organizations, they have expertise. They have tools.
Or they're utilizing them.
But the problem is, their jewels don't speak. For example, when I go to counsel staff, for example, what's the problem? They would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But why don't you say that to your boss? I can't. He doesn't listen. That's the problem. So when we train line managers, middle managers, and top managers on organizational safety, we train them in a way to think of it as their ally. To do this, we need to show them how to trust themselves. See, if you don't trust yourself, there's no way you can trust others. So the equation becomes very simple. I've been in research for long enough to tell you, you need to trust yourself to trust yourself. Very simple. If you get this, you're set to go. If you don't get this, you have an issue. And I can help you with that.
So looking ahead, Dr. how do you see psychological safety shaping the work, the future of work and competitive advantage?
Let's be realistic a bit and say, I like to answer this question by going backward, forward, not forward, backward. Okay? I would like to start by the end. Say, and I have 100 staff, employees. Based on the bell curve
Yeah, of course.
distribution, okay, I will have, say, 20 stars, 20 have a nice day, and I have 30 and 30 in the middle. So I have 60, they're doing what's they're expected of them, approximately. I have 20 wow, and I have 20 wow. Agreed?
Agreed.
Right. Let's put the 20 wow down aside. Okay? Well, let's start by the 20 wow up. In any organization, you will find this number of staff who contribute more, active more, their intellectual capabilities or capacity is high, creative, engaging, all what you wish, you have them, generally speaking. Now let me ask you, one of them resigned. How much it will cost you?
Quite a lot.
Now, let's take it based on research, okay? The first problem is this person will go to your competitor, ready-made.
Or all invested.
Ready-made,
Yeah.
1. 2, knows your weaknesses. 3, knows your strength. 4, plug and play. So you're telling your competitor, have a nice day.
Yeah.
On a silver platter, صح? Agreed? Perfect. Now let's come to you. Recruitment process will cost you between 3x to 5x of the salary of that person who left. هلا you might come and tell me why. In simple English, the work of that person will be distributed on others. Some people they would love to because they want to prove themselves. Some people would say, that's extra pressure, I don't want. 2, when the new person comes, you would need a minimum between 3 to 6 months
Exactly.
for this person to perform.
Yep.
This person would start acting.
In 6 months.
In 6 months, will start producing.
Yeah.
Right. Going through all this mess, if you lose from the 20 stars, 5, what would happen?
Detrimental.
Right. Let's come back again to the bell curve. Why did you call them stars? Because the 60 here, they're not as good as them work-wise, not a human being. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. So theoretically speaking, just imagine with me, theoretically speaking, the 60, they lack things the 20 they have. صح? So if all 20 are gone, you're left over with a handicapped population compared to the 20. Technically, who lost?
You did.
You did.
Big time.
So why do you blame the market when your internal culture is helping people to leave?
يا عيني عليك.
Why?
Yep.
And I'm not saying the market is not tough. It is tough. بس احنا will make it even tougher. Psychological safety comes to offset the internal dilemma to balance with the external demand.
That's the key word I was just going to use. It's the balance.
Yes. This is how it works. So if you don't have psychological safety, you will have one of 3 issues. You will have it. You will face it. Either you will be second in line, or you'll be history, or inflicted with problems. And examples are all over the place. Yeah. So that's it. You need it.
And you see a lot of people actually stepping out of either a good paying job or, for lack of a better word, their comfort zone, without the negative connotation of comfort zone. They're used to the culture. They have that kind of understanding, and you lose because you didn't give him that extra increase when he wanted to, that extra freedom to speak when he wanted to, that extra freedom to disagree when he wanted to, get innovative when he wanted to. So it's putting that extra 20% to make sure you retain the 80%.
Let's be frank. Let me tell you something I have learned through my almost 30 years dealing with more than 7,000 people. Money is important, I agree, because we need to bring food to the table. But there is something more important. There is something where I need to feel as a human being that I contribute. Meaning, there are 4 psychological states. 4. Inactive, active, inactive, reactive, active, proactive. Inactive, reactive, money-driven. Active, proactive, purpose-driven. Right now, money is important, and I'm not saying no, but it's not number one.
The money will follow.
It is important. You need to find a good job with a good salary.
Yeah.
But it's not the element. أنا for example نزار. I'm being honest with you. Come and tell me, for example, I'll give you a job with, say, 10 KD, but you don't open your lips. With this 10 KD may be a big number. Or a job with 5 KD, less, but you have the right to express yourself. I'll go with the 5.
Of course. Well, I think most people will nowadays.
If it's okay, of course, or most people will go, we need psychological safety.
There you go.
That's it.
What a nice cherry on top, Dictor.
That's it. So you don't impress people anymore with benefits or money. No. It's become like default.
Yep.
Give me something as a human being now.
There you go. Where I feel like I make a difference, I contribute.
Thank you. Because there is a difference between I contribute or I regurgitate.
Couldn't agree more.
Make sense?
Very much so. Thank you for your time, Dictor.
I hope I was helpful. I did my best to convey one important message, and I would like to end with it. Psychological safety is not a motivational fluff. It is not a competition to your ego. Psychological safety is your ally, so you and your team and your family and everybody to have a healthy relationship where all in all contribute to one purpose, which is growth, whether business or family or emotional or anything. Take this path, and I'm sure you'll tell me if you see me on the street by accident, and you were right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nizar.